is happening, BoobTube? So today we're gonna work on the Miata some more. I'm gonna show you how to depower the steering rack, and I'm also gonna work on the patch panel for the transmission tunnel, since I have verified that it fits, and should be an easy job to tack up, and I'll go through the steps on how to do that and everything. So let's get you turned around and show you what's up. Alright, so Miata steering rack. Flying Miata, I believe, has a write-up on how to do this, but I'm going to actually do it on video form to show you all the issues that you might run into trying to do it, so on and so forth. So it should be good for everybody to be able to see that, and that'll be the first part of the video, or it might just be a whole, like this might be one video and putting or filling in that hole there, and also creating the cap for the transmission tunnel might be a second video. But the motor is hanging in its hopefully permanent spot, so after I do these two things, I'm going to work on building motor mounts, and you can see that it's free hanging there, so it's not resting on the steering linkage. I did have to cut and weld up the two line holes that are there, but it didn't matter to me since I'm going to depower the rack anyways. So let me get the end links off. They're tie rod end links, whatever you want to call it, off, and we will pull the rack out and take it over to the table and tear it down, and I'll show you how to depower the rack. That way you don't ever have to worry about it again. And yeah, so here we go. Alright, the ends are off on either side. Make sure you do that while it's in the car, or you will be struggling to break those free. The whole end should be reusable. You really just have to check the ball and socket and make sure that there's not any slack in there. The only thing that is not reusable is the lock nut thing that goes on the end, because as you screw the rod end, it pinches down on the square ends, and it also bites into the end of the rack. So those aren't reusable. You have to replace those. But once you get to this point, you can take the rack out, and we'll go move over to my table and start tearing down the rack, and show you how easy the process is. Here we go. All right, here we are. You can see the two fittings that I cut off, and you can see where I tack welded and painted it. Doesn't have to be pretty, you're never going to see it because it's going to be underneath the motor. Sprayed it down with some brake clean because we're going to be tearing into this, so you don't want dirt to get down in there. But the first things first that you're going to do is take this seal off, and it should just pull off just like that. And then there's a snap ring down in here that you got to get out. So let me go grab a pair of pliers to get that out. Alright, got the pliers. Squeeze it together. These are always fun to deal with. Helps if you've actually got a set of snap ring pliers, but I don't have any because I don't hardly deal with them, so there's no reason for me to go out and spend a whole bunch of money on some. Let me go get a pick as well, that way I can get that. So So now that that's out, oh, forgot. You gotta come down here and take this bad boy out. Maybe it's this. I don't remember. It's been a while since I looked at the instructions. Alright, so had to break the big guns out to break this out. I have another video on how to make one of these. This is like the special Mazda nut. RX-7s have this same thing as a Miata. It's a 40 millimeter nut, but it's not. It's like a little bit oversized. It's like 40 and a half. So you have to cut a 40 millimeter socket and then Dremel the edges so it fits onto it. But once you get that off, that comes out. That should be a 14. That comes out. Should have a little spring doohickey. It's pretty nasty down in there. And then some sort of a thing that pushes up against the takes up the slack in the box. So let's see if maybe I'll just turn it over. Hey, it came out that way. Awesome. So there's everything in the order that it came out. So, you know, nut, big thing, spring, blah blah. I'm gonna kind of keep it somewhat in order so you know how stuff goes. Set that to the side. Throw it in your parts washer if you've got one. Clean them up. So next, I actually jumped a step. You're supposed to do that first and then pull the snap ring, but neither here nor there. Now we got to take this bad boy off. Once we get this bad boy off, there's another nut underneath it that you have to get out, and it swears that there's one there. It's just underneath a whole bunch of grease. So let me get a socket. Are we taking bets that that's a 24? Because I'm taking a bet that that's a 24. It's a 21. Get a wire out of me. Alright, get that bad boy out. Hey, there's not a lot of grease there, so you can see that there's a nut there. Got to break that bad boy free. Looks like it's probably a 14. Nope, it's bigger than a 14. 17. Yep, 17 will work good. All right, and with that off, you can take the main spinny shaft thing out. So it should slide right out. I say that, it's not coming out too easy. And all this you can leave together. You don't have to do anything with this. I'd clean this seal up a little bit and clean all this off, but this is all, you know, you don't use it anymore, so you won't have to worry about it. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so none of this stuff you really worry about. All right, now that that's out, we can pull the end off, which is you gotta have a punch to get the ring out that's down here on the end. So there's a little hole here. And you knock. There's supposed to be some sort of a ring, snap ring in here that you knock out from that hole. There it is. It's really going to be hard for y'all to see it, but I can see it. Trust me, it's there. So let's see here. So there it is. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. Take it and pop that bad boy on out. Pop him on out all the way around. Once you've done that, you should be able to slide the whole rack out, and you'll then see the giant seal and cylinder and everything. See, it's got suction on this because I've welded up the holes, and it's actually fighting me to get the end out. Of course, one of the tack welds that I did for that hole has got a little bit of a burr on it, so it's gonna make this thing fun getting out. So, all right, let me get this end out, see if I can't figure out a way to get it out real easy, and when we come back, we'll talk about what you do to the actual piston inside to get it ready to be depowered. Here we go. All right, so all I did was put a socket on the end down here, tap it, and it pushed right on by. So it's not much of a spot to hang on, but it's enough for it to not slide out. So next, the hard part, or the sketchy part, is cutting this seal off. So you're gonna cut it. You're gonna cut down with either a Dremel or a grinder, all the way down to where it looks like it's about to go through. Stop, hit with a punch, and it should break in half, and you won't have to worry about scarring up the metal itself. So let me set this thing over here so it drains somewhat into a bucket instead of all over everything on my table. And then we will work on this bad boy, clean this bad boy up. Seals have been bad for a while on this thing. Luckily, it still moves pretty freely. I'll make sure to really clean all this bad surface up and get it all ready to go. So, I'm gonna wrap this. You're not gonna be able to see this because I'm gonna be off screen, I think. So I don't hurt it. Am I off screen over here? Yeah, I'm off to the right, fixing to cut that up and then knock it off, or I'll cut it and then I'll show you how to knock it off. Here we go. All right, just got done with the grinder. You can see how much I ground through. Should be able to hit it with a chisel or something, and it should come free. So let me go grab a pry bar actually. Got the seal out. Looks like I'm gonna have to grind a little bit more on that. Thought I was close enough, but guess I need to get a little bit closer. So let me do that real quick. All right, that was easier. That was much easier. I should have just done that from the get-go. Got another slit in it. Pry bar, smack, came right off. So now that this is technically depowered, I'm going to take a Scotch-Brite pad, see if I can't get a lot of these rough areas cleaned up, and then I'm going to stick everything in my parts washer and clean it up real good. So here we go. Alright, got all my parts cleaned up, and now it's greasing everything and putting it back together. So I'm gonna go grab my thing of grease and we'll get on that. Alright, so since this is pretty much the reverse order of how everything came apart, putting it back together, I will probably time lapse most of this. since, I mean, you put it back together the way it came apart. So let's get right on into it. Make sure you get, I guess I better talk, make sure you get grease back into that bearing right there. Since it's no longer going to be oiled, I'm going to make sure that it's got plenty of grease packed in there. Alright, there's some torque specs on the stuff right in here. I don't think the bottom nut has a torque spec, but I can't recall. So I will put it at the bottom of the video if there is one. If not, then you just run it on down in there and call it good. Alright, last but not least, the, I don't know what you would call this portion, but the last portion. Make sure it's greased up real good. Slide that bad boy on down in there. Make sure you got your whatchamahoosit, your spring. Bolt clamp thingy. You're supposed to do some really fancy torquing down on this thing, and I don't have an inch-pound wrench, so I'm just gonna do it by feel and see where that takes me. That's it. I'm satisfied with it. All I got left to do is put the cap, this bottom cap on, and throw it back in the car. Also got to find some plugs for all of these since they're not being used. But yeah, that's further down the road. It shouldn't be a problem. You should probably be able to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or something and pick out what these plugs are. But anyways, guys, that is it for this video, and yeah, until next time, happy brapping.